So this morning I decided it was time I got to grips and finally tidied up my studio, especially my sketchbooks. It turns out I've got 101 sketchbooks in my studio, and these go back a long time, far further back than I care to remember. My goal today with you is to talk about why sketchbooks have been such an important part of my artistic freedom, and how, as it happens, they can also be a terrible trap. So let's muse about this while I introduce the idea that we've had, which is a brilliant idea. You're going to love it, for the June challenge. So if you've been following our channel for a while, just going to sit down. If you've been following us for a while, you know that we have a monthly challenge now. We started that a couple of years ago when we were working, and still are, with Charlie at Doodle Wash, and he offered a challenge and for the month of August, and since then we've tried to do one of our own every month too, because people really like them. And so this month we're going to do something called the Joy of June, and that is going to be a sketchbook challenge with a twist, and the twist is what I'm about to talk to you about at some length. Don't worry, I'm not going to go page by page through 101 sketchbooks, but I'm going to show you more or less at random snippets of what I've been doing over the last years. I haven't actually got my very oldest work here at all. In fact, much of that was acrylic, some of it was oil, and a lot of it is lost. I lost a lot of stuff when we left Canada. It got lost somehow. But I have got something here from 1986, which is in a sketchbook, and I think that's the oldest bit I've got here. So we'll start there, and I'm going to more or less at random, like I say, dive into some of these old sketchbooks, show you some of the new ones, talk about what the challenge involves and why I think it's got a twist, and basically just kind of spend a half an hour or so talking about what art means to me, and hopefully to you too. So this drawing here, this is a little pen and ink and wash drawing, which I did in 1986. That's a long time ago. Tamsin would have been 8, so that's 39 years. Yes, quite a long time. Anyway, that's the oldest thing I can lay my hands on. And I did that in a page from a sketchbook, and I think I've cut it out. But this sketchbook goes back to something like then, and it's an old, what they used to call, they used to call them main lesson books. I suppose this was a German lesson book from the Steiner school that Tamsin went to. And I don't know, nothing seems to have got written in it. Anyway, I purloined it at some point, and I did some drawings. So way back then, about 1986, I'm drawing gorillas. Don't ask me why. It's funny, because when you go back through these old books, you see paintings and drawings and things, and that's why we like to do them, isn't it, in a way? Because they're like having a diary, a visual diary, which is much more interesting than a written one. And you say to yourself, what was I doing here? What was I doing? Anyway, moving on past that one. I wanted to show you some interesting sketchbooks that I've got. This one I picked up in San Miguel in Mexico. Went there because it's meant to be a really artistic art colony, really. Didn't actually find anything there that impressed me much, but at that time I was living in Bermuda, and I've got a lot of Bermuda stuff here, which I'll show you in a minute, actually. So I did some sketches in San Miguel, which are not very good at all. I didn't like that place, I have to say. It was noisy. They wouldn't stop letting off fireworks. It says here, I didn't sleep in the bedroom last night. It was too hot, so I went to the little garden room on the roof. I was woken up by firecrackers at 5 o'clock, still very hot. We have a maid to do everything. That was novel to me then at that time. Very nice for me, as I don't even have to make the bed. Gives us time to do what we want. So that was quite nice, but I didn't much like Mexico, really. I didn't like the food. And it's a pretty ugly place. But anyway, so I'm not talking about that. Shouldn't be talking about how ugly Mexico is. These are the sketches I did there. And they're not very good, partly because the paper is completely unsympathetic to watercolor. It's almost dark brown, really, so, and has a funny texture. So beware of cute but basically useless sketchbooks is one thing I would like to say. Talking about cute and useless, this one's not really useless. It's by Artex. It's a modern one. They sent it to me free, and it has, I want to show you this. It has a sticker on the back, and a lot of people are complaining about this sticker because they can't get it off. But as you can see, you can get it off. What you have to do is you just heat it up with a hairdryer for about 20 seconds or less, and then it peels off fine. And so here's tip number 1 for the challenge. You're going to have a sketchbook of some sort, and it could be anything from a handmade one that you've done yourself, starting with the very easiest sort, which is big sheet of paper stapled down the edge there with a long arm stapler, if you happen to have one, you know, and then you've got a sketchbook there for free. Or if you can't get hold of a long armed stapler, you just take your A4 sheets or your sheets of whatever and just staple them there. Or you can punch holes in the edge like that and put, this is an old shoelace that I put through it to hold it together. This is a pretty old one actually. This goes back to 2000, and I was desperately trying to learn to paint like David Bellamy. Never quite got there actually, but I was copying his work and trying to learn what he was saying, because it is a book on how to paint like me kind of thing. I can copy quite well, but it's harder to do originals, because you know why? Do you know why it is that you can copy work but you can't do your own when you're a beginner? It's because you don't understand tonal value and you don't understand composition. That's the tricky thing. That's what you have to master. You don't understand. This was a lesson about tonal value, and you can see there's a lot of difference between the lights in the house there, the light areas and the dark areas, and the tree. You have this counter change where you've got light and dark against each other, and that's what gives the picture three-dimensionality. And then you try to do your own and you don't succeed. I don't know if I've got one in here. We are going back here to 1990 something. No, 2000. This was done plein air. I was actually out of doors in a town called Chilham, a village called Chilham in Kent. And this actually was mine. There was no copying involved there. At the time, I hated it. Absolutely loathed and detested it. I thought it was terrible. But now I look back at it and I'm thinking, well, actually, it did rather capture the essence of Chilham, which is a medieval village, and it's full of half-timbered buildings and churches and all sorts of nice kind of old relic-y things. And, well, not bad. How long ago was that? 25 years ago. So, does show some promise. But this is a sketchbook, and as a sketchbook, it is full of sketches. This is a point I'm going to hammer home over the next few minutes. It shouldn't have every page is a masterpiece. It should have every page is a sketch. Then there might be some swatching. I was swatching out the colours that I was going to use here, and I did. This was what I happened to have, and you can see I was actually quite organised. This is something you might want to emulate, possibly. I looked at what I was painting and I said, I need to be able to mix the colours, because in those days I didn't have a Kuretake set. I only had 12 colours in a little travel set of paints, or 24 maybe I had, I don't know. But anyway, so to render the roofs, tiles and the brickwork, I was going to mix pink, that's rose pink I think, raw sienna and burnt umber to get this colour. For the slate roof, I wanted this light grey, so I was going to mix ultramarine and English red. For sand, that must have been another painting, raw sienna and burnt umber. For stone walls, raw sienna, ultramarine violet, yes, and English red, and so on. And so I prepared that, wrote it all down, and then did the painting. Very organised in those days. I had time to play, I think. But at that time, I was running a little art group in Rough Common near Canterbury. And this was another sketch that we did. I think that's the same place. I think that's Chilham as well. But being cheapskate at that time, I didn't buy many sketchbooks. I made them. And that's one way of doing it. Just, make your holes and put a shoelace through it. So there's that, and I'll put that over there. And then we've looked at that one, haven't we? Yeah, that can go over there. This was the World Watercolor Month that got us started with these challenges. This is 2023, July. Just have a quick slurp of my tea. And in here, I actually followed the challenge. As far as I remember, I did what I was supposed to do. The gardener's outside with his strimmer, and I think he's about to come in. But anyway, so here we are. This was a beach scene with a couple of gulls and an ice cream. Do you remember this? I think I might have put some of these up online. I don't know. This is about the nearest out of all these 101 books I've got that has got anything systematic going through it. All of these. I liked that one. I loved that one. I definitely remember I shared that with you. The Treasure Island. Yes, I was really pleased with the way that came out. I've never done anything like that before or since, but I should do more. Treasure Island paintings, yeah. Flying kites, stuff like that. And there's some lovely yellow flowers and some bees done two ways. That was a scout bonfire, something like that. Picnic by the beach, hammock. It was quite cool, wasn't it? I quite like that. Anyway, so yeah. But the thing is, when you do a challenge where you're given the prompts, you have to work with what you're given. June this year, what we're going to do is quite different. We're going to say, don't do anything specific. I'll give you some ideas for different types of things to do, but I'm not going to say paint a beach scene or, you know, paint a light through a kitchen window or something. Not going to do that. I'm going to suggest in a different, more subtle kind of way. Here's another way of making your own sketchbook. Punch holes. You need a hole punch, basically. You do definitely need a hole punch of some sort to do this well. And then just put some of these split rings on it. It's easy to do, and you can change the order of the paintings around. And again, what you'll find inside my sketchbooks is incomplete, not very well done. Sometimes they're fine, sometimes they're not finished, sometimes they're just ideas. And I've gone ahead and painted them again somewhere else. That was Christmas 2019. Here's another idea, another way of doing it. No, it's not. It's the same idea, actually. This is another piece of cord. And inside we've got lots of bits and pieces. You know, how to draw a daffodil. Don't be ashamed. Don't be worried about putting that in your sketchbook. Your sketchbook is not meant to be a work of art. Although, having said that, sometimes you'll come up with things like this swatch. And I love it, don't you? Look at the colours there. Look at the subtlety of the colours gradating from dark to light. Look at the granulation. You know why that is? It's granulating because it's got ultramarine blue in it. Ultramarine blue is a natural granulating. And if you don't want to buy special granulating paints, there are several in ordinary regular sets which granulate, and that's one of them. Ultramarine, everyone has it, and it will granulate even if you don't want it to. This is another one that I made. Again, it's full of all sorts of bits and pieces. So, oh yes, this is a thing. We were doing neurographic art. Do you remember that? We should go back and do a bit more of that. That was quite fun. That's supposed to be very good for the brain, isn't it? I forgot all about it. My memory sucks, actually, at the moment. I think I've been under a lot of stress recently, and my memory has just said, I'm going away. I'm not functional. I'm dysfunctional memory. What I'm going to do with all of these books is I'm going to put them on a shelf, and I'm going to put them roughly in order, starting with the newest ones first at the top and going down the bookshelf. And in the mornings, when I come to the studio and I need to think of something to paint, I'm going to go there to my resource of 101 sketchbooks. Actually, some of them are still empty. So to be honest, I've probably only got about 70. And I'm going to pick one out at random, and I'm going to see whether I can find something inside that sketchbook to paint. And I think that's going to take a lot of stress out of my life, because that's the hardest thing. And other people have talked about this problem that people have. If you're doing a channel like this, you have to endlessly think of new ideas. You have to endlessly think of ways to convince the algorithm to show your videos, and this is not getting any easier. Oh, and that's a good point, actually, because I'm definitely going to do a video soon, which is going to talk a lot about the problem of artificial intelligence. We have absolutely no idea where this is all going to go with YouTube, but there has just been released, and if you want to hear more about it, you can go to vidIQ, the latest video that they've put up. He's talking about and showing examples of a video which has been generated completely artificially intelligently and not a scrap of human beings in it whatsoever, and it's a voiceover as well. It's got voices. And you cannot tell the difference between it and real film. In fact, well, you definitely can't. You just can't. So everything we watch now, we don't know whether it's real or whether it's been generated by a computer. I find that alarming. We don't know how it's going to affect our channel and everyone else's channels as well. All we can hope is that you are going to appreciate authenticity like this video, which is just me talking and expressing my opinion and sharing some of my history with you. And we're going to hope that no computer will ever be able to do that, and that enough people like you will continue to want that kind of content. Don't know how long that's going to go on for. I hope it goes on for a very long time. I hope it never goes away, but we don't know yet. It might. It might be that the artificial intelligence overwhelms the authenticity and that people lose track and can't tell the difference really and prefer AI-generated video. And of course, it will look very convincing. You know, when you see somebody's hand painting like this, you know, I mean, I'm thinking specifically of one other artist who's on here who's just put up a video that I was watching. And I was watching it and thinking, I don't think that's real. I don't think that's a real person doing that painting. I think that might be a computer. But you can't tell because it doesn't look as if it's a computer. I don't know where this is going to take us. Tell me in the comments below what you think about AI. What do you know about it, actually? Do you know anything about what they're doing to our brains? Because I think we are all being driven slowly insane by what's going on in the digital world. I really do. I know I feel it. And I know our world isn't the world that I expected it to be when I got to my age. I never imagined it would be like this. So anyway, let's get back to where we were at. Let me see. Let's just do a few more. I'm going to pick a couple of random ones from here. This is my old box. And I'm going to go through these and show you one from each. This one is from This is another one based on David Bellamy's work, I think. Yes, so I was starting to work with tone, beginning to learn how to paint properly, clearly. You can see a trend. So that's that one. This one is also very old. There's nothing much in there. This one is, what's this? Daffodils, vase of flowers. Ah, this goes back to I must have just come back from Bermuda at this time, and I was kind of thrashing around trying to figure out where I was going to go. So that would have been about 2000. Yeah. So that's that. Oh, yes, this is 2001 art group meeting. That was in Bermuda. And we used to go to people's houses, go to each other's houses every week. And we used to paint something. This is the architecture of Bermuda. And yeah, but they're all sketches. You know, these are not paintings. These are just sketches. This is a sketchbook. It's like going back through history, going back through the archives. Oh, this is oil pastels, that. Just practicing. This would have been about 2003, I think. You can go really small if you want. This one turned into a bit of a notebook, I think. But that was, I know when that was when I was 50. So that's 21 years ago. That was in France when we came here on holiday once. This one is the same. This was France too. And here we come to another point that I wanted to make. For this challenge, you will probably have a few sketchbooks that are empty at one end, at the back. Oh, I was trying to paint babies. Look at this. Goodness only knows why I was trying to paint babies. Ugh. No, seriously. Yeah, that's Bermuda again. Did a lot of art in Bermuda. There wasn't really much else to do, to be honest. Don't know what that is. There, I'm using Etival watercolor paper from Clairefontaine, and I'm going to come back to that one in a minute. That's very good paper. I've used that for very many years. This is also Bermuda. And I highly recommend their paper. That's a drawing, which if I didn't know better, I would have said that that was Tamsin's, and it might be, because I don't have the patience to do paintings or drawings with that amount of detail in them. I'll ask her afterwards if that was hers. It's a hibiscus. Might be mine. It might have been on a funny day. That's a church. That's a Keeshond. And there's some cats. Yes, that was one of our cats. There's a village. Another farm scene. I think these were copied. This doesn't look like my original. I definitely drew them, but they're copies. And before anyone says, why don't you go back to doing landscapes like that? I have to say, because nobody would ever get to see them, because YouTube would say, are you joking? We want blobby birds. Oh, this is Tamsin's. Well, that's Tamsin's. It's a lizard. And I know that's hers. It's beautiful, isn't it? She did a lot of those when we were in Bermuda. She's got such a lot of talent, my daughter. She doesn't want to admit it. She doesn't want to know. Completely different from me in her style, as you can tell. And I'm sure a lot of people would love to see her paintings. Yeah, that's another bit of David Bellamy there. Right, well, none of these are terribly interesting, so I'm going to scoot past those, I think. I don't think anything interesting here. Oh, this is a recent one. That's much more recent. Quite like that. I don't know what you think. I don't know if I did a video of this. That's the moon, in case you didn't realise. That's an owl. And this is a lot of white gouache that I just splattered on top. This is what I want people to do for this challenge of June 2025. I want everybody to just take their sketchbook and use it like this. This is probably quite a good example. September 2006. It starts off with a pencil sketch of somewhere called Limpstone, which is, I think that's in Devon, in England. And yes, this is definitely Devon. This is Exmouth, on the other side of the River Ex. And I think this might have been a course I went on down there. So yeah, Shelley Gutt. This is Exmouth, definitely. This was a course I went on with, I can never remember his name. I've got a painting of his upstairs. What's his name? Ray Balkwell. Ray Balkwell, thank you, Tamsin. Yes, Ray Balkwell. Very, very good teacher. Anyway, after the course ended, it all kind of, the sketchbook kind of went to pieces. But that's okay, because I was using the space to do thumbnails. And then this is a little bit more recent, just a sketch of flowers. And I did that. I think they're very recent now, blobby birds. So that must be very recent. Some stones, gemstones. That's nice. Quite like that. We should do that, shouldn't we? We should do a video like that. Hands up if you'd like to do a video about how to paint crystals and gemstones. Tell me in the comments below. Pansies. Learned how to paint them from... I can't remember anybody's name. Hugh Brading, that's it. Hugh Brading. Brilliant teacher. He came to Canterbury and taught me how to do that, and I've done them ever since. That must be 25 years ago too. Practicing dragonflies. There we are, dragonflies for everyone. And what have we got here? Oh, that's here. Corner of the Garden, May 2014. So you can see, you know, it goes all the way from the beginning of the century up to now. Yes, This one, this is very, again, it starts off with stuff from way back, beginning of 2000s. And that's very old, paper bag. Who wants to draw a paper bag? Not me. And then kind of deteriorates into teddy bears and things like that for the channel. That's the channel one too. So what I was going to say was, if you have a sketchbook that you've started and you haven't finished and it's relatively good condition, then, and you want to do a challenge like this one, do this, do this. You see, this one I started at the beginning. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use this, but I'm going to turn it round, take the label off and start from the other end. It sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? That's one way of doing it. If you don't decide to make your own, do it like that. That's not a bad idea. Just start from the back. I often start from the back anyway. I often do. I just thought I saw something interesting then, but oh, there it is. I wonder what that is. That's an interesting painting, isn't it? What do you think of that? I don't even remember doing that. But this is another one from Bermuda, I think. Yeah, it's just full of bits and pieces. But I like that. I'll keep that on side. It's quite interesting. How to do a path. Now, here's a good one. This would be a great one. This is a Robert Bateman book, and I've used about half of it. Right. Up to there. I've got all these pages here. Beautiful. And if I did my challenge, turn it round, put a new cover on it, stick one of your old paintings on top there, and then start from this end. I'll tear that one out. Well, I'll try to tear it out. What does that say? Has it got the secret to the universe? Reserve at table for luncheons at the IAWC. That was Bermuda. So anyway, I won't tear that out, but I will start on the next page and just go backwards. All the gypsies used to do that, you know. They always used to go backwards. I think it was because the race originated in Egypt, and of course they go from right to left. So, you know, my mother was a quarter gypsy, so I've always had that tendency to go backwards. Don't tell anybody. I find people make fun of me if they know I've got a tiny bit of gypsy blood. They say, well, why aren't you dark-haired like your sister? And I say, well, that's the genetic lottery, you know. So there we are. There's that. And is there anything in here? Nothing of any interest. So put that over there. I'm just dreading the gardener coming in and interrupting me, and he will, I'm sure, in a minute. Okay, so don't let my tea get cold. Now, what am I going to show you now? Empty books, or books that you might want to acquire. Let's have a look at this one here. These are sketchbooks that I've used recently. This is Bamboo by Hannah Müller. Let's try and say it right. Hannah Müller. Lots of quite interesting work in here. This was one that I tried my hardest to actually be consistent with. I did get to the end of it. This is lovely paper. I do recommend it. Hannah Müller Bamboo. Mixed media paper, and you can get these online. They're not exactly dirt cheap, but they're worth it. I think if you look in the description below the video, we'll try and find links to all these ones that I'm going to show you that you can still get. You will have noticed that all these old ones that I've just been showing you, you probably can't buy them anymore because they're all 20 odd years old. But that's that one. And then this is also good. This is a Canson XL. It's a mixed media book. The only downside to this is that the paper is so thick, you can't do a flip through. You can't. You have to go page by page. Now, this one is a good example. This is a good example of something that is not trying to be more than it is, but which is actually quite a nicely presented sketchbook. So that means, to me anyway, that I've actually made progress because I can now actually determine how something turns out. But you don't get there overnight. So don't be frustrated if what you try to do doesn't work. Just turn the page. So we have here a bunch of flowers, some swatching of sea glass colours, and then I was trying to paint sea glass, a couple of ideas for bookmarks. Don't forget, you can always screenshot and print it out and paint from my work if you feel that way inclined. That's just a sort of semi-abstract floral thing. And that one has got birds on it instead of flowers. This one, I think, I'm not sure if I made this one into a video. I can't remember, but it could make a good video. You see what I mean? I've got these ideas. And this is a winter scene. And the same thing in summer. Some pansies, some flowers, more flowers, a tree, more pansies. I think I was practicing for pansies. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like a cross between a pansy and a hibiscus. That's even more like a hibiscus. There's a dachshund, some birds, sketch of some swallows, some kind of abstract. Pine trees, not pine trees, what do you call them? Palm trees. Dragonflies, more dragonflies. See, this is an example of exploring an idea. I did some dragonflies, I did them really pale. And then I thought, well, I'll try doing it again, only much more strong colours. So I did them like that, which I didn't really like, but, you know, worth a try. There's a whimsical bird. Paint a bird a day. I think that's when we started the Paint a Bird a Day challenge. So that's another one. And I mean, that's something you could do when you do this June challenge if you wanted to. You could say, oh, I didn't ever do that challenge that they did in 2022 or whenever. I'll go back and do that one now, or I'll do bits of it. You don't have to do the whole thing. I like this kind of floral. That's something I've taught myself to do recently. Just really, really, really loose, and then sometimes going over it with ink. I think that was a copy of somebody else's work. I still do that because you can learn something that way. It moves you forward sometimes to take on board somebody else's ideas. And this I thought was so funny because these mushrooms, they were meant to be mushrooms, they look like ice lollies stuck in the ground, don't they? Hilarious. Can't always win. So that's that one, the Canson XL Multimedia Sketchbook. This, I think, from last year, has got to be my absolute favourite sketchbook that I have produced. I almost feel, and I'm going to sound very conceited, when I look at this one, I almost feel as if I could almost think about having it printed up as a book of watercolour flower paintings. Not quite. I don't think I would ever do that, but I kind of think that it's almost good enough. It hasn't had any touching up. So I'll go through this one. I'll go through this one with you a bit slower because I'm actually almost proud of it. Almost. Pansies. And we did different flower every day. This was, do you remember? This was a challenge, Flowers of the World. Definitely my favourite, closely followed by Brilliant Birds. And this is a Viviva sketchbook. I should say that before I start. Viviva sketchbooks are very, let's say, idiosyncratic in their paper. The smaller ones are often very absorbent and very difficult to use, and I wouldn't really recommend them for beginners, but they do have a certain spontaneity about them. They force you to paint quick. But this one is a slightly, almost like Cardi paper, that rough stuff. This was March last year, and it's got a lot of texture, and it gives you an interesting background sometimes. Well, it does. I mean, this is a little bit granulating, which is emphasized by the texture of the paper. So that I was not unhappy with. And then we've got blue bonnets here. Bearing in mind that I was doing these under severe time pressure because they had to go, I think I put them up as shorts. Not sure, I think so. Protea. Edelweiss, very hard to paint white flowers, especially on cream-coloured paper. I think I might have used gouache. Yes, I can feel that. I used gouache for the Edelweiss. Kangaroo paw. Look at that. Then we've got cornflowers and Indian paintbrush. Interesting to see the difference there. Looking back at this, something that jumps out at me is the difference in vibrance of the red and the same kind of brush strokes, because I think I used a sword brush or a sword liner for those, you know, gestures, and how vibrant the red and green are compared to the peacefulness of the blue with the grey-green. Completely different effect, but basically similar painting. And this page I really like. California poppies done in orange with brown fine liner. I must get some more of that. That's a Winsor & Newton brown fine liner. I really like this bit here. That came out really soft and evocative. And then this one, Sun Roses, they were called. Isn't that a pretty spread? I know, I'm so conceited. Here we have some daffodils that weren't as bad as my daffodils usually are. I have problems with trumpets. I definitely have problems with trumpets. And then there's this one, purple coneflower. I love that too. And I like the little test one that I did first. So I've attached that with a paper clip to my sketchbook. So there's another idea for you. And for those of you who are saying, I don't know why she's doing this video like this, what am I learning from that? Pay attention, because there's a lot of very useful information in this video. Believe me, lots of tips. Now look at this. I'm so pleased with that. I'm getting on my high horse here, aren't I? I like this spread too. Yes, I like the contrast between the gold and the green and the white behind. I left the background plain in many parts, just a little bit of yellow here. And this one as well, this plant, the passion flower, looks as if it's going to get up and leap off the page and eat somebody, doesn't it? It's got that sense of animal about it. Calming down a little bit, we've got something called a Daimia lily here, which is a very strange plant. It looks like it grows in the desert. I've never seen one. I did that from a photo. And this is a tassel flower, the same thing. I've never seen that either, but that's quite pretty. Then we have Jacob's ladder. I think it's called that because of the rungs of the ladder is like the leaves or something. That's pretty flowers, aren't they? And a bee orchid. We can see why it's called a bee orchid. Desert pea, that was going a little bit abstract, and sometimes you might want to do that if you're trying to render something like a plant that's perhaps you're not familiar with, or you've never seen a real live version. You might want to kind of go a bit abstract. And this is a wild rose, and my abstract theme kind of bled over a little bit into these ones, and they're very, very, very loose, but they still look like roses. And here we have black-eyed Susans on this page, and foxgloves, which have just come out, actually. I'll have to go and grab a foxglove from the garden, and perhaps we'll do some foxgloves and bees again. You can never do that too often, can you? It makes a lovely gift if you want to paint a card for somebody. And here we have something called the fan flower. Can't remember now how I chose the flowers, to be quite honest. Maybe I asked the AI to help me. And this is columbine. It's very faint and pale. It looks almost as if I didn't quite get around to finishing it on that one. And the lavender with some butterflies and some more orchids. And here we've got Cape daisies. Again, I think that's from South Africa, not something I've ever seen. Some good old corn poppies. And some bluebells from England. And this is a heliconia. That's obviously abstracted because it's got white doodles on it, and quite like the balance between the green and the red. That's a very striking plant message, isn't it? I'm looking at geraniums out of the window. Here we have the bird of paradise and lady's slipper orchid. I like that spread too. And finally, cardinal flowers. And that was the end of it. And actually only 3 pages left when I got to the end. So there we are. That was the achievement of that year. Viviva sketchbook there. And then the birds of paradise and all the rest of them in here. We won't go through all of that because it's in the same Canson XL book. Here's another one of those. And this one's a bit more sketchy because this wasn't done for a challenge at all. So it's just got all sorts of odds and ends in it. really, although looking through it, it does look fairly systematic. Anyway, same book, don't need you. Here's a good one. The Etch-a-Sketch-Book. Etch-a-Sketch. Remember the Etch-a-Sketch? That was a fantastic toy. We bought it for the children and I liked it more than they did. Anyway, so this was, I think that's right. This was a attempt to capture some of the essence of Anna Morrow Lindbergh's Gift from the Sea. So I've done quotes, printed them out, put them on the left-hand side page, and then done a painting which attempts to illustrate, or I did painting and tried to illustrate it with a quotation from the book. And we've got some nice paintings in here. And I think all of these are videos. Okay, so if you look on our channel, you know, if you're looking for a specific video, say you want to find a video of mine that is about, let's say, fish, go to Google. This is the easiest way now to find my videos specifically, rather than searching through YouTube. It's hard because there are 13 or 1400 of them now. Go to Google and just type in Diane Antone fish. And almost for sure, if I've painted any fish, the video will come up as a result on the first page. So that's probably the easiest way. Just have to click on it and it will take you to the same video that you've searched for and found on YouTube, and you can watch it. And so try that. If you can't find it, what you're looking for, or you just fancy painting, so I don't know, geraniums, Diane Antone geraniums, and you will find the paintings that I've done of geraniums. Diane Antone beach scene, and you'll find all of them. So I know most of you probably know about that way of doing it, but some of you possibly don't. And it does save a lot of time. I often look myself up like that. So anyway, we've got all of these paintings. They're all videos, and I've seen some people who have done versions of them on their own channel too. I don't know if you've noticed that there might be a little bit of surreptitious. Anyway, that one I really liked. I don't know, that just has such a peaceful mood to it, doesn't it? I'm a landscape painter at heart. I can't help it. But anyway, never mind. I'm going to try in the next month or so. I am really seriously going to try to finish this book. I think these are still available. I'm pretty sure they are. I wouldn't say they were exactly inexpensive, but if you fancy treating yourself to a really nice sketchbook, the paper is brilliant. Paper in here is brilliant. No doubt about that. I don't like the cover. It looks very nice when it's new. You know, it used to be white. And I don't even have any children to get their mucky paws over it. But it's, you know, what can you do? I know some people have painted them after they got dirty to cover up the... I don't know how well that works. Last time I painted a lampshade, it didn't actually work out very well. Anyway, so... Oh, this is very old. This is another example of starting a sketchbook, right? That was October the 14th, 2001, I think. And I was on a course and I did a bit of this course and I dropped out. I have a habit of that. Stood on the shelf for years and years. I did this ugly painting of ore. And then in 2003, I did a painting of a tree in my garden and looking over the neighbour's fence. And then I did some chickens. That was when I was with Ray Balkwell down in Exmouth. Then I did some pansies. Then I didn't do anything at all. So the whole of the rest of it was empty until I did this, which was partridge, a year or two ago. So you can always revive a sketchbook. Don't be afraid to pick it up and carry on, even if there's a big gap in between. So this would be a good one to do this year's challenge. I could rip out these bits where I've accidentally done something in a hurry. And yeah, this is very recent. That was end of last year or something. Oh, and that is a, I don't know, I think that's a nameless one. This one is empty. No, it isn't. Nature Sketchbook, it says, and Nature Sketchbook it is. And who is this by? Is this Strathmore, I think? I think this is a Strathmore one. I'll try and find the link to this one because that's nice paper too. It's not too textured, not too thick. This is a large size of the smaller XL books that we have over there. I'm not an absolute fan of it, but if you like a nice stiff paper to be able to do multimedia work on, it's very good. But I'm not going to be getting any more of these because it annoys me that I can't do that. Stupid, isn't it? This is one I would like to disrecommend. This is stone paper, and it's very interesting to play with, but you can only really use pen or pencil or markers. This is markers. Because it does weird things. I think I've torn some of it out. You can use pen and pencil, yes. It doesn't want to dry with watercolor. It's very difficult to make it dry. You get some interesting effects. I don't know if you've tried it. Stone paper. It's made from ground up chalk, I think, in plastic. So it's a bit weird. But it works very well with pen. So if you wanted to do a challenge with just pen, and it will work with watercolor if you wait long enough for it to dry. It can be a bit frustrating, but it's very, very good with markers. It's a lovely feeling as you take the marker across the paper, actually. It's like, oh, I don't know, painting on silk. But that's another one that has not been finished, but maybe it should be. Okay, what else can I recommend? This is the Strathmore. I haven't started it yet because it's so nice. I think Strathmore is definitely one of the best papers out there if you're keen to buy American. It's got lovely texture. It's not too thick. It's not quite as thick as Canson XL, I don't think. Yeah, you can just about flip. So that would be a good one for your challenge if you feel like buying a sketchbook. We've talked about why you don't have to buy. These ones came from Craftamo. Lisa said sends mended. Canson. This is Canson. Is a Saunders Waterford paper. This is for serious watercolor painting, so I probably wouldn't want one like that, but I got this in a shop here in France. Canson Graduate. That's a cheaper one, and let's get rid of this. Yeah, this would be a great one actually. It's got nice texture. I think it's part cotton. I'm not sure. They don't make a big deal about it if it's not 100% cotton. They tend not to say what it is, but it's nice and white. The page is a nice shape and nice size. Plenty of space there to do all of your pictures. So yeah, if you can get hold of Canson, they are starting to sell more of their stuff on Amazon.com. They didn't have much on earlier in the year, but I'm pretty sure you can get these now. In fact, I know you can because I found them the other day. Oh, that's another Waterford. This is a Canson Montval, which is higher quality. I didn't know I'd done anything in this one. I thought it was empty. Oh, this is where I did the one of the challenges the other day. Yes, because I like doing my flowers on square paper. Yeah. That's a nice book. Seems to be full. Okay, you're in the wrong pile. Then we've got the more cheap and charming sketchbooks. This is one from Paul Rubens. I haven't tried it yet. Seems to be pretty good, although I must admit that the binding is a bit dodgy. There, you need to put a bit of glue in there, get your Mod Podge out. Talking about Mod Podge, I'm going to show you my, where's it gone? What did I do with it? My junk journal. Here it is. A couple of years ago, I had more time, and I found the Paper Outpost on YouTube, because I heard about junk journals. I didn't know what they were. Look at me, out of sync with the rest of the world. Now I can't remember her name either. I'm really doing badly with names at the moment. Who? Pam, that's right. And I made this book right from scratch, from doing the sections, stitching them, making the cover and everything. And this is something which will give you some hints about your challenge for June. One of the ideas was to, instead of painting, drawing, or doing anything, with a pen, pencil, brush, or whatever, to do mini collages in your challenge. And I think that's a lovely idea because you can do something like this. And that came out really well. This was some paper napkins. You take the top layer off and you use Mod Podge and you put it on a piece of paper and you collage it together. And this is a letter that someone had sent me and I photocopied it. I didn't use the original. I think this was from Denise. Yeah, I think it was. So anyway, so I just made up this design and stuck on these butterflies, which came from another paper napkin. And then I put some lace edging, which this goes back to 1970. At least, it's at least that old. I've had that since before I was married the first time. And yeah, so you can do things, simple things like this. A new year, a new leaf. And I wouldn't say that this was the best constructed junk journal in the world, but it's very personal to me. It's got lots of interesting, to me, things in it, and you can do the same thing, and you could do this for the challenge. You could take a photocopy of one of your paintings that you like, cut it out, and then stick it into your sketchbook, and you're best halfway to having and you'll think, oh, what I need to do is put a butterfly on there. So you'll go to one of your failed paintings and you cut out a butterfly and you stick that on. Mod Podge is one of the best things that was ever invented. It's wonderful glue. And here we are. I've got a little pocket here with feathers in, and I'd forgotten about that. But if I hadn't forgotten about it, when I did the feathers the other day, I could have gone and found myself some feathers that I've kept nicely in there. So, and here I've got some, this is from Carolyn Doughton, and this is my two grandsons who are now large and ugly and naughty when they were babies. I should say that babies, shouldn't they? This is a very old painting that we made postcards from years ago when I was famous. This is a painting from 1997. I know that because 1998. I know where I did that, and there's all sorts of connections to it. Yeah, and so on and so on and so on. We've looked at this before. I think some of you might remember. This is more of that lace. There's a picture of Tamsin in Bermuda. And this is a note card, which goes back to the 1960s. I found that tucked away somewhere. Yes, that I had when I was at school. And some more of those. All sorts of things. I went through all my drawers and I found everything that I could that was small, flat, and old. And I put them all in here. And I should go through this more often. I think it's a brilliant idea. I didn't know what they were all about at the beginning when I first started. I had no idea what they were all about. This is a pressed flower. Oh, that reminds me, there's some pressed flowers down there in the shelf. Yeah. That's from that book of Mexico. I think this is actually a really good way for anyone who wants to be artistic and creative to explore being just literally just going into your recesses, going into your past or whatever, and pulling out. And once you start, you sort of, Tamsin said to me, it's like you get into the zone, into the what's the word? Creode? Creode, yeah. Yeah, creode, which is the sort of the sphere of creative endeavour, and the one that Pam from Paper Outpost incites in you when you watch her. And maybe I do the same thing for some people too when I do my paintings. But if you go into that particular creode, you'll find yourself doing things that when you look back at it, you think to yourself, I did that? But yeah, you've got your proof in your hands. You did, it was you. It's not quite finished. I've got a couple of pages at the back here yet to fill, and I will be doing that soon, definitely. So I think I might end on that note. I think I've run out of puff. And do not please forget, the challenge starts on the 1st of June, which I think is Sunday. And you don't need a sketchbook. You can do this. I did want to mention this. If you don't want to buy a sketchbook, you haven't got one, and you don't know what to do, what you do is you just get one of your pads of paper like this, whatever. We've all got these ones. Here we go. This will be easier to show you. For example, a Meeden block glued all the way around. You do your painting on there for Monday the 1st or Monday the 2nd or whatever. Take it out, put it to one side. Then when you've done all of them, and this would work well if you're going to do collage, because when they're all done, you can then stick them together using the hole punch method, right? And the rings or the piece of cord, and then that gives you enough room, because the problem with this is that by the time you put all those things in, it doesn't close in. That's not necessarily a problem, but it is a fact. But if you did it with the ring method and you were doing collage, then you wouldn't have that problem. So, yeah, I mean, if you don't have, but you do have this, then you still do the challenge, can't you? Or you could use a big sheet of paper. If you've got larger ones than this, you could divide it up into sections and do like 4 on one sheet and then cut them up afterwards. Or, I mean, there's so many things you can do. Get creative. Think of something of your own invention and feel free, because the whole point of a sketchbook is that it should liberate you. You know, a sketchbook can either be a prison, or if you have the key, it can open the door to all sorts of creativity. So let's turn the key for June, the joy of June. Liberate yourself with your sketchbook by doing whatever comes into your head. And I will see you there. So I'll let you go now. Expect you'll be glad to see the back of me. It's definitely time to go to sleep. So good night, everybody, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye for now, everyone. Bye-bye.